Good morning, everyone. I just woke up. As you can see, I have no makeup on, but I wanted to wish everybody a happy Friday, and I wanted to share with you some new things that are going on in my life. If you've been following me, you know that in 2013, I started looking into my adoption and citizenship for the very first time in my whole entire life. I was 32 at the time, and I was only doing it because I was trying to pursue getting my passport, because I qualified for a free trip through our company, Beachbody, and it was a cruise to Cozumel and the Grand Cayman Islands, and I really wanted to go. I mean, I earned it, so I wanted to go. I jumped through hoop after hoop after hoop because the people that adopted me would not cooperate at all, giving me my citizenship papers or any information. So I had to jump through lots of hoops, and I was tempted to give up so many times. But I had a lot of help from people that were part of my team that not only helped me do the legwork on some things, and also just give me the support and remind me that I am relentless and that I never give up. So it took a long time, but by October of 2013, after starting in January, I actually was able to get a temporary passport. So that took a huge relief off of my shoulders, so knowing that I could go on the trip. And then over the time, I was able to get some of my adoption papers. I received a folder full of photocopied documents from my adoption that came from the state of California, and also from my adoptive parents. They were all just photocopies. They were not originals, and literally all that I have from my life prior to being adopted and coming over to the United States literally stacks up to about that high. And it's been really difficult. I think I went through my whole entire life just numb and doing what I thought to do, and that was just keep swimming and accept the life that I had. And I finally started digging into the paperwork that my adoptive parents sent me. I literally sat in my house for over a month. I just couldn't open it, and that's when I really realized how much pain I had and that was involved with my adoption and my life. And I'd never really visited that part. I grew up in a household where we didn't talk about my adoption. It was very evident that I was adopted. It was never a secret. Obviously, I'm Asian, they're white. It was something that was really hard to keep a secret, but we really didn't talk about it. And the one time that I did ask, when I think I was about 11 or 12, when it really started, I started asking for siblings, and I started asking why I didn't have siblings, and I started asking about my adoption. And I remember that it was never accepted positively by my adopted mother. She was very jealous and very threatened by the fact that I had a biological mother, and it was never recommended, encouraged, or discussed about me finding my birth family. In fact, whenever Unsolved Mysteries came on, and that was one of my adoptive mother's favorite shows, literally I can remember every time they had a story on of a reunion of an adopted child and their biological mother or father or family, she would make my father turn it off because he always had control of the remote. And when anybody would ever ask, me as a child, do you want to find your birth parents? It was just shut down. I didn't grow up with any adoptees. I was one of 5 Asian kids in the community. Other than my mom taking a picture of me in an Asian type outfit, she called it a kimono, but now that I posted the picture, a lot of people told me it's not a kimono, so I don't even know what it is. Other than that, I really didn't know anything about my culture. I was literally an Asian person raised in a white community. And, it really messes with your identity. And I realize now, looking back, that so many of my problems and the mental illness and the path of self-destruction that I went on really stemmed from my adoption. And not everybody has this type of experience. I know I've talked to a lot of adoptees who rave and rant about what a great life they had, and that's great. I'm not against adoption. For me, I'm against it. And so in 2015, I started getting to know some adoptees through Facebook. I joined a few adoptee groups, and that was a lot because of Beachbody. They said, get connected with people that have, similarities as you. Well, obviously, I had a lot in common with, other fellow coaches. And I started thinking like, well, hey, I don't know any Koreans. And then I realized that there was this world on Facebook full of adoptees, and I joined it, and it was like so crazy to meet people that were just like me. Some had really great experiences, but a lot had experiences like me. And I realized for the first time in my life that the feelings that I had regarding my adoption and my identity, it was like I could feel what they felt, and I totally got it. Nobody else got it, and I couldn't really put it into words. And being part of these groups really helped me, because I realized that I wasn't some freak, because my parents always told me I was selfish, and that I was beaten by my father, and I was told things like, you weren't raised this way, we don't know where you were getting it from. And now having children and stepchildren and kids that have been influenced by non-biological parents, I do see that I may have picked up a lot of characteristics from the people that were raising me, but there's so much ingrained in me from whoever my biological parents are. I've been actually reading a book I just started. It's called Adoption Healing by Joe Soll, and he's somebody that helps a lot of the adoptees. And it said in there that adoptees will often subdue unconsciously their natural being just to make their adoptive parents happy, because the last thing that they ever want to do is to lose another family. And that adoptee really becomes, typically, not every case, but a lot of times becomes a people pleaser extraordinaire, because that is just in their makeup given their situation. They sacrifice who they are to make their adoptive parents happy, so that they can stay remaining in their home. And one of the things that was interesting that the book said, it's believed that adoptees in many cultures come with a complete blank slate, and then they can become whatever their adoptive parents want them to be. And that's really what I think that how I was treated. And they said in the book that, however, and this is something that I know that I teach people that I work with all the time, they said every child is born with genetic traits and talent. And I do believe that. So many people I talk to all the time that I help in my line of work, I tell them, like, you were created and designed to do something, and somehow somebody has squashed your dreams because of something that happened to them. And so I was like, well, that's right. There was so much about me that I just didn't get, and I couldn't understand. And now I get it, because I'm married to a man that has siblings, because I have children, multiple children, and I have stepchildren. And I see the similarities, and I see the genetic traits. And so I really have begun to realize over the years that I really don't even know who the hell I am. For so many reasons. Number one, I was never allowed to be whoever I wanted to be. I was raised in a strict religious home, and I was supposed to act this way, walk this way, talk this way. And it was something that was pretty interesting in that book, Adoption Healing. And really, if you are an adoptee, an adoptive parent, or considering adopting, definitely read this, because if you're going to adopt, I think that this book will definitely help it be a lot smoother process than a lot of people. And I really can't 100% blame my adoptive parents for everything, because I know as a first-time parent, I made a lot of mistakes with my oldest child, and there's things that I realized that I made a big deal out of that weren't really that, big of a deal now that I've had 2 and 3 kids, and I have 5 kids total with my stepkids. But you just don't know. And so I understand them. They didn't have 9 months to prepare. There wasn't that instant bond. It was their first child. They never had any other kids. So they were doing what they knew to do. But, one thing that the book said that just sticks out to me is that if there's an adoptive family that has infertility issues, which were my case, and that issue is not dealt with, and that pain and grief is not dealt with, then the adoptive child becomes the fixer, the Band-Aid. And that child is known for these adoptive parents as the fixer of their problem. And this child becomes this constant fixer, and the person that always has to make everything happy. And I thought about that, literally my adoptive parents are still upset and haven't moved on after 16 years of me not living in their home, and I'm to blame for hurting them, and I've been, the person that has been attacked by them, verbally, through emails, through text, through letters, that I hurt them, that my selfish ways hurt them. And it's just been so eye-opening. I'm not even all the way through the book, but I've learned so much about why I've become a people pleaser, why I went down the wrong path. And, it's just meeting other adoptees now for the second time a couple weeks ago was pretty eye-opening. I said I was going to do a live broadcast and share this, but it's been pretty emotional and a lot to really take in. But we had so many similarities, and I always wish I had siblings or somebody that I could just connect with. And going there was like being with cousins, because we were talking about things and it was like, yes, somebody gets me, and oh my God, I'm not a freak. This is normal. And it was so refreshing, even though we were talking about very, very painful things. But it was so cool to realize that this whole time that I've been made to feel that I was a freak and that I was ungrateful, I was selfish, I had mental issues, I thought that I was crazy, that really this was just how adoptees felt oftentimes. And so that's helped me with my healing process. So what I wanted to share today, there's so much more to the story that I guess I know I will unroll, because I share it with you because it's my way of healing and connecting with other people, and also educating other people, like I said, out there who have adopted or are thinking about adopting. But I wanted to just share with you a new chapter. Since I became part of the adoptee groups, I found out that there were DNA kits so you could purchase. I literally ignorantly thought the DNA kits were only like Jerry Springer shit, that you only did it if you didn't know who your baby daddy was. Well, I guess I'm one of those kids that I don't know who my mama or my daddy is. So I was told about the 23andMe kit. So I ordered it. I got it in early 2015, and it literally took me like 3 or 4 weeks before I did it. And I couldn't pinpoint why. And it's just, I guess, it's scary. But I did it, and I sent it in February, and I got the results, I think, in March. It was about 5 weeks, and there was this little vial, and literally you had to spit. It took me 10 minutes to spit. I had to fill up this little tube full of my spit and send it off to this lab and this biohazard thing. And I remember putting it in the mailbox, and I remember posting that picture, and I remember thinking, man, there's so many answers that I could get in, just a couple weeks. And the email came, and I'm happy, and so I don't want to sound ungrateful, but since I did the 23andMe kit, I have, been notified that I have 200 some odd family members, but all of them are literally 6 to 8 cousins. So that really doesn't get me anywhere near my birth family. It really doesn't get me anywhere close to finding out who I am or any medical history. I did find a couple of third and fourth cousins, but what I found is that these people that I found who've taken the 23andMe kits, they're adoptees too. So that being said, it's cool again to know that you have blood relatives outside of my own children. It's cool to meet other adoptees, compare notes. We all have very similar but different stories. But it's also well, shit, I'm not anywhere closer. And getting involved with the adoptees back in 2015 literally opened some doors that I had never opened in my whole entire life, and I really wasn't prepared for. I went in a downward spiral, went into a deep, deep, dark depression. We had marriage problems, family problems, and I actually blamed a lot on my marriage. And those were some facets, but I realized now that what I opened up was like Pandora's box, and it ended up leading to my husband and I's separation this time last year. We were separated, and then I ended up going in as an inpatient voluntarily, and I was diagnosed with several different things that, finally clicked and made sense about my mental state, and it was mostly brought on because of my adoption. And so I've gotten help with that. I see a therapist. I've been doing everything that I need to do to stay healthy, physically, emotionally, mentally, therapy, personal development, reading that, adoption healing book, working out, eating healthy, staying away from, people and things that are negative or can draw me back into a lifestyle that where I cope with things that are unhealthy instead of dealing with it the adult way and the appropriate way. I'm now since then 8 months sober, and that's helped me. I'm thinking a lot clearer. I'm able to really identify my emotions because I'm not enhancing them or suppressing them. I'm talking about it openly, so it's helping. But I had given up anything about my adoption. I just closed the doors on it. And then once I met the another group of adoptees a couple weeks ago in Houston, I'd met with them last summer in Austin, and it was just kind of like we met up at a bar, we drank, we just bullshitted. This time was like questions, going at each other, sharing, conversation about our stories, really digging into the emotional parts to share our stories and find some connections and maybe to find some answers. But more than anything, we found similarities over my second time of eating Korean food. I had these doors reopen, and I am one of these people that I am literally all or nothing. If anybody knows me for the last 4.5 years with Beachbody, it really changed my life, and I am like 100% all in. I'm not a halfway person. I'm either go big or go home, but I'd given up on looking into any more of my adoption, and I'm actually glad that I went to this dinner. I was the only one who cried at the dinner, and then that's when I realized that there was so much that needed to be taken care of still. I know that I have a lot of abandonment issues. I know that I have a lot of these issues, but one thing is that it actually prompted me to restart my quest for finding my adoption story before I was adopted at 9.5 months old. Literally, I have one picture from when I was supposedly 3 months old, and then I have the picture that the day that I was forked over to my adoptive parents. I want to know who I was, where I came from, what happened to me in 9.5 months. So I've reinitiated all of this, and now that I'm medicated for my depression and my BPD and my anxiety, I feel that I can take this on better now that I'm more aware of my senses and that I'm sober and I'm around nothing but positive people. I think that I can do better things than I have. Now I'm associated with hundreds of adoptees instead of just about 100, and people that are very helpful. It's a very helpful community, and that's just our nature. We're fixers. We are literally, adoptees become fixers and people pleasers. So it's really great to have a community that'll help you. So I've initiated all this. I've gotten kind of obsessed where like every day I'm reading something or sending something to an agency in Korea, so I'm trying to like slow down so I don't get so overwhelmed like I've been feeling. But I wanted to share with you that when I did the 23andMe kit, like I said, I found hundreds of people that were very, very, very distant cousins. I found a missing link that's going to help me. I found out that I always fantasized that I was half white and that I was the illegitimate child of a soldier, but actually I am mostly Korean and then secondary Japanese and Chinese. So that really kind of threw me for a tailspin, even though it was nice to finally know exactly what I was, because I get asked that all the time. What are you? Where are you from? I can say now with firm conviction of what I am, and literally I'm going to give you a little tip here for white people. If you see somebody who's Asian, ask them what nationality they are before you ask them what are you or where are you from, because I really am just a girl from California who is trapped in an Asian body and knows nothing about the Asian culture, but was raised by white people who didn't recognize the fact that I was Asian. So that's a tip for you. But I had standing. I just stood still at my progress. I met only adoptees. So then I found out that you could upload your raw data, which is your DNA, to this other website, which is GED Match. Well, I found that literally it's not user friendly. And I mean, literally, I live a busy life. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I am a business owner. I like to have fun. I like to get my sleep. I don't have time to research how to read DNA. But anyways, I found there, again, same thing, nothing but adoptees. So again, frustrating. Well, I came across when I was sharing this in the adoptee groups, some really helpful people that they are part of American adoptees that were, born to GIs, and they have put together this program for adoptees to help us find our family. It's the Thomas Clement, I can't remember what the thing, project. I don't really know all of it. I read the article, but literally my head is spinning because I've talked to so many people, I've emailed so many people, I've read so much. But essentially, in a nutshell, what happened is these Korean adoptees have initiated and gotten funding where they have taken these family tree DNA kit tests, and they've taken them to Korea. And I guess I don't know how they put a memo out to women who have put their children up for adoption in the past, and they have done this DNA test for them. Well, the thing about the family tree DNA is my 23andMe kit, because it was done after 2013, the raw data cannot be uploaded to this new website. So I was like, well, shit, do I have to spend more money? Well, I found out in the process that because of this project, I qualified for a free DNA kit through Family Tree DNA. So I literally have all of this right here, where basically I have 2 swabs and these 2 little vials, and this is totally different than the 23andMe kit. But I'm going to do this as soon as I'm done with this live call, and I'm going to send it off. And what happened is that they've taken these kits in, droves, and done them with these Korean women. And so when us, the Korean adoptees who get these tests, send our data in and it's uploaded, we have a pretty good chance of finding our family. And it's really terrifying, because I think, what if I again hit another dead road? Like, I don't know if I can keep dealing with disappointment. But then I keep thinking, what if I do? But then I've heard stories in it, and these women were literally at times forced to give us up. And I've heard some horror stories from adoptees, and some really sad stories that I'll share at another point in time. But I think, well, what if her life is in danger? What if she's, subject to being outcast if I come back in her life? What if? I don't know. It's really scary. But I wanted to share with you that I'm actually one step closer to this time actually possibly finding my birth family, because these tests have been sent over and done on Korean women that have given up their children. And it's pretty cool, because the 23andMe kits and the Ancestry.com kits and all these other ones, they're purchased by people usually here in the United States, or people that are looking for their birth family. These were actually done with people that didn't have the funds, or maybe didn't know this, or wanting to find us. So anyways, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to send it off, and hopefully maybe I'll find somebody like that's even like a first or second cousin, or an aunt or an uncle, that can tell me something about my story, or something about my medical history. And I really thought about it last night. What I think I'd like more than anything is some pictures of my really close relatives. I know that there's the whole funny ha-ha thing that all Asians look alike, which is kind of true, but I know that Haley looks identical to me. I know that Emily and Rebel look almost identical as infants, and they have so many things that are like them. But like, I just would like to see a picture of somebody that is closely related to me, to see if I look more like them than any of the other Korean adoptees. So anyways, I just want to share that with you, and I'll share more as the story and saga continues.